So today's webinar is going to be a Q&A. So we had a bunch of questions already submitted. So thank you to everybody that submitted their questions. So I'm going to start by going through all of the pre-submitted questions, and then we will save time at the end for the questions that come up throughout. You can also write in your questions in the chat, as Lauren mentioned, and she'll be answering those while we go. And then if there's any that need to be demonstrated, we'll save those for the end as well, to go over on the screen. So thank you all for joining. I'm going to start by going over to the builder. So I'm just going to jump right into the first question that we got, which was a question on creating and adding your own exercises that aren't in the library. So there's a couple ways to add your own custom exercises. One being from the library, you can go right to the exercise tab. And then at the bottom, you can click new exercise. So from here, you have two options. You can create new exercise, or you can import it directly from YouTube. So creating new exercise will also give you the option to add it from YouTube. So let's just call this test for 26. It will bring you to this page. And then from here, you can add in your parameters, your different sets, reps, all of that. And then you can add in a video. So if you have your videos uploaded on your computer, you can just upload it directly from there, or you can import it from YouTube. So this is great if you're somebody that already uploads a lot of your videos to YouTube, you can just include the link. Or if there's a video that explains, let's say, a deadlift really well, and you want your clients to see that video, you can import that video from YouTube to show it to your clientele. You can also add your own videos to existing exercises for those who didn't know that. So if Bridge has a video already in their library and everything else looks good, but you want to have your own video or a video from YouTube, you can also override the current video. So your clients will see your video first when you go here. So that was the first question. Then we got a question on supersets. So let me go over to the program builder. And then for more support on the builder itself, we do have monthly webinars where we just go over the builder for the most part, and we can send that recording out to anyone who wants more color on the builder. But for creating a superset, you can do that in a couple of ways. So first, if you click add block, you'll have the new block option, and it will say new block or superset block. So if you select superset block, it'll bring you here, you'll put in your exercises, and whatever exercises you choose, it will superset them. So whether that's 2 exercises or 5 exercises, that option will link them so that they show up in circuit style for your client. And then let's say we didn't have it supersetted. So if you already build out your whole block and then after the fact, you're like, oh, I wanted to superset that, you would just click these 3 dots and toggle superset on. And again, that will just circuit style everything. When it's not supersetted, it'll show up like you complete all your sets and reps first before moving on to the next exercise. Okay, the next one was about changing your reps from total reps to per side reps. So when you have a unilateral exercise, it should automatically show up. Let me see if it's doing it for this one. It should automatically show up with reps per side compared to reps total. And then if it doesn't, for whatever reason, you can reach out to us, and on the back end, we can add that in. So it should say reps per side here for most unilateral exercises. And then if it's a custom exercise that you make, let's say you make your own exercise. When you're in your own custom exercise, you can edit it to make it reps per side. So from here, you'll go to total reps to reps per side. So if it's an exercise that's already in the Bridge library, you can't edit it. Again, you can reach out to support and we can go in and edit it, or you can create a custom exercise and then toggle it to be reps per side versus total reps. And then same thing with weight. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. The next question we got was about the timer. So on the app, you'll see that there is a timer option. If you put in the parameter for your exercise to be a time-based exercise, it won't automatically start the timer when your client clicks on the exercise. However, it will like preset the timer to whatever time you set. So if I had the exercise be 30 seconds, I can't really show the app from this view, but when your client then opened the app to do their exercise and they clicked on the timer, it would be preset to 30 seconds, but it won't automatically start it. They would still have to click start, but that's kind of how it functions. It would just preset the timer to whatever your prescription was in there as. Okay. And then we got a question about percentage rep counts. We don't have percentage rep counts, we just have the percentage for a weight. So under the weight section, you'll see all the different options, including the percent 1 rep max, percent body weight, and percent difficulty. But as far as reps, we don't have anything with percentages for reps. Okay. So I think that covers the questions that we had in the builder. Like I said in the beginning, I'm just going to keep going through all the questions to make sure those all get covered. And then at the end, we'll save some time for your live questions, and then you can keep writing them into the chat throughout. Okay. So we had some questions on printing a workout. So if you see at the top here, whenever you click on the program itself, it brings you to like a little mini library of your program. So at the top right, you'll notice 3 dots. And then from there, you can click print. It will bring you through a couple different options, like you can print load progression view, week view, print a generic workout or the workout for a specific athlete. And then you can select the weeks. So from here, it will download a PDF. Another question we got was if you can edit the PDF or edit the way that it's printed. Unfortunately, you cannot because it automatically downloads it as a PDF, which is not editable. So whatever you download is what you can print. Yeah, so this is, if you haven't seen like your program homepage, there's a lot here. You can see the team that's training, you can add or remove athletes, and then you can see like your phase analytics as well. If you're not familiar with that, it'll break down the phase into volume, intensity, and load. And then there's also an analytics button at the top right as well. Okay, so that covers the printing. And that works too. If you ever have a client that wants like their program sent to them as a PDF, you can always just print it. It'll save it and then you can send it. It doesn't mean you have to print it, but that's an option as well. Okay, we had a couple questions on like individualized programming versus programming for a team. So I just want to preface it with saying that Bridge uses the terminology like team and athlete a lot, but we understand that a lot of you are private trainers, so you might not use that terminology, and that's fine. It's still a functionality that works well for anyone. So as you can see here, the team is called Remote Training 2023. So it's really just a way to organize your team, your clientele base. So they do have to be assigned to a team to be assigned a program because that's how it will organize them. But you could have it called like Emily's clientele or Emily's roster. You don't have to think of it as like a sports team so much. So we had a couple of questions on that. And then placing clients. So you can't have a client on a program without having them on a team, but you can still have just one athlete or client on a program. So another question was about like programming for an individual versus an entire team. And it really works the same way. If you're programming for an individual that you train in person, you have the advantage of being able to put in their weights and everything when you're building the program versus kind of building it out generically where you're going to be assigning it to 10 to 20 or however many people. So when you're training an individual, it really works the same way. But when it comes to assigning it, you would just select one person. So let's say Susie wasn't on here and I just wanted to assign the program to one athlete that I wrote the program specifically for. I would just select them and then assign it. The thing with that, I would just be careful about your program name. Typically when people have a lot of individualized programs, I would name the program like Susie Q, like this one is, or have their first and last name in it just for visibility when you're trying to organize all of your programs if you do have a large clientele where everyone has their own individualized program. But yep, same thing goes if you wanted to assign a program to like an entire team. You would just hit select all and it would assign the program to everyone. And then when you wanted to make individual edits, you would click on the program and then it would ask you if you wanted to break off that program for the individual and you could make an individual edit. So you always have the option to start out assigning it to everyone and then breaking people off as needed to their own individual programs if you're doing that. Okay, so hopefully that answers the questions about that. Okay. Then we got a question about remote training and what the price is for the app for clients. So the app is free. So if, let's say I went in here and assigned all these people a program, then they would download the app for free and sign on. So they would get prompted with like the email invite if you aren't familiar with that. And then be able to download the app and see their program. So all of that is free, but you do have the option to build an online store if you want to sell your programs instead of just assigning your athletes programs. So as far as remote training, I think Bridge is designed in a way that works great if your athlete is in front of you or if they're remote because it is accessible to them whenever if they have the app. So as far as remote training goes, I think this like the same process applies whether someone's in front of you or just remote. But to sell programs, you would go to your online store, which you'll see up here at the top. So from here, you can create a new product and then build an actual, where you can upload your program to that product and then send out that link so people can purchase your program. So if you're looking to have like a remote store in addition to your in-person clientele, the online store is definitely the spot to do that. Depending on your subscription, if you are on standard, you'll have the ability to sell programs or sell programs for free. And then to like charge people for them, you would just upgrade to professional to have that option. And then when an athlete purchases a program, it'll show up on their end as a playlist program versus a calendar. So when it comes to the pricing here, that's entirely up to you. Again, the app is free, so your client will be able to either download it for free if that's the route that you want to take or purchase it for monetary value. And we also got a question about creating and selling like an 8-week course. Again, this would be the best place for that. Even though it'll show up as playlist, if you wanted to just create a program that you wanted to sell, kind of a la carte, either to your existing clientele or to new people, the best place to do that would be through the online store. And then once you create it, you can upload your different products onto the store itself. I can show you a preview. So this is like what the Bridge Athletics store looks like. And then people would have access to click in and purchase programs. And then we got another question about brand integration. So if you are looking to upload your own like customization to Bridge, you can do that by purchasing an add-on. So at the top right corner of your profile screen, you'll see the store, which is where I just was, and then you'll also see feature add-ons. So if you click on that, it will give you the different options, one of them being the organization logo and color customization. So you would purchase the add-on, it would be an additional $20 per month, but it would allow you access to add your custom logo that would show up throughout the app. It doesn't take over the app icon. That's a question we get a lot of the times. It'll still show up as Bridge, but then when you're actually in the app, your custom logo will appear. And then you can also have customized colors. So this gives you an example of what that looks like. So you would upload all of your logos. You can change your colors here, which will show up on the app for your clients as well. And then as you can see, like on the tablet, it would show up in the top left, your own logo in different emails. And then when you print your workout. So if you're looking for a little bit more customization, that is definitely the spot to do it. Okay, I think that's all the questions that we got on the store. Let me see what else. We got a question about Stripe and payment solutions for those unable to use Stripe because it's not in their country. So today they added new countries, so I would just recommend going in and checking to see if your country is now on the list. And then if it's not, I would just say keep checking because we're always kind of asking them to keep adding different countries, but that is out of our control because that's directly through Stripe. So our apologies if your country is not on there, but they are continuously adding more countries onto their list. The last question that we got was about duplicating a phase and if there's a way to delete like 3 weeks at a time. So the short answer is no. But if you look here on your program homepage, the 3 dots next to your week, so this is showing a phase. So it's like weeks 1 through 4 is the name of the phase. Week 1, week 2, week 3. Okay. So if you click on the 3 dots, you can just delete the week. So if you had 3 weeks in the middle of your program that you wanted to delete, I would say this is the quickest way to kind of visually look at it as a whole and then just delete the phases that you don't want in there. But that is all the questions that we had submitted beforehand. So now we can open up to any additional questions that you might have.
It looks like we have a couple that came in. Emily, are you able to see them on your end?
Yeah, they are showing up small, but I can still read it.
Okay, I can read the first one out, and then you could maybe take us through the answer for this one in the builder. So when using the timer, if you add the rest time into the program, does the timer continue through all reps and rest time like a Tabata timer, or will the client have to press start for every rep and count on their own? So they said they couldn't get it to keep going through. So maybe some of our time-based blocks could be a better solution here.
Okay. Like these guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're building a block, you'll see that there are a few different templates here, like rounds for time, every minute on the minute, and as many rounds as possible. So if you wanted to do like a rounds for time, you would set the number of rounds. Well, okay, let me see. Does this one prompt a time in it, or would the EMOM be a better example?
Maybe an EMOM.
Maybe the EMOM. So there's a couple different like template blocks that you can play around with here that are time-based, but other than that, like the rest that gets put in, it won't automatically trigger a timer, and neither will the parameter setting. It will, however, just start the timer, so it's kind of like a preset timer if that's what you put in, but the client will still have to click start on the timer for each set.
And then add time for their rest if you have time for both. So hopefully that answered the question. We have another one that will be good while you're still in the builder. So regarding the percent of weight, building on a program, week 1, the athlete puts in the amount of weight and reps to hit the prescribed percentage of weight. The next week, does the program inform the client of the weight and or reps based on the previous session, or will the client always have to add in the weight / reps when using percentage? Okay, so Emily, you can take us through this, but just quickly before, to reiterate, our percentages are just weight parameters, so we don't have any percentages that will prescribe reps. So if you're using our percentages for weight, you should make sure you're prescribing reps so that our system knows the percentage to prescribe.
As far as like the weight percentage goes, as long as the client has, like if you're using 1 RME, the 1 rep max, then as long as your client has a 1 rep max information inputted, it would pull from that. So if their 1 rep max is 100 pounds and you're doing 5 reps at 65%, then it would be 65 pounds is what they would see. If they're using percent difficulty, that's a little bit different. If that's what you're referring to, that'll pull from live data. So if it's 5 reps at 65% difficulty, that will pull from whatever data they have for their front squats and then calculate it to see what 5 reps at 65% difficulty would be. So
yeah. So only the first day they'll have to input it with no weight shown. Then after that, it will show the absolute weight.
So I would say percent difficulty would be the best solution for that if you're looking for something that kind of is like ever changing, because that's the one that will change based on like live data versus the 1 rep max would have to be pulling from like test data that was entered for an actual 1 rep max.
And then while you're still on the screen, Emily, one of the really great features that we have with our percent difficulty is the estimate weight. So this just provides you visibility of what the absolute weight is that the athlete will be prescribed. So Susie doesn't have any data in the system, but if she had performed this exercise already, it would have shown and pulled through the weight that she would be prescribed in her next workout. Mm-hmm. So for her in this example, she would still need to input her weight and she would just see the 65% difficulty when she's completing the workout. So it does inform them moving forward.
And then the first time they do it, they'll be prompted with what you see here, which will show them an idea of what the 65% means for someone that it's their first time doing it.
Great. Okay, so let's move on to our next question. When I assign a program to an entire team, on the athlete's end, can they input their own weights that they use during the workout? And will I be able to see those inputs on my end? Where can I see those changes?
So if you like, you'll be able to like, yes, they'll be able to input their own weight on the app. Like if you put in absolute and this is 0 pounds, it will just show up like blank for them, and they can put in whatever weight if you're not prescribing them an actual weight, which you probably aren't if you're training an entire team. So if you're not using percentages, I would say to use absolute weight. And then this percentage thing is just a glitch from before, but that will just prompt them to put in their own weight, which you can see there. Or if you do want to do like percent body weight or something like that, you can choose one of these options. And then you can see it from their profile. And then if you also want to use, why does this did this last time to me as well? It's not showing up, so let me change this. You can make it a tracked or required set to pull it to your activity report for better visibility. So let me hopefully get this up so that it works. So usually when you click work set, Lauren, I don't know if you know why it's doing this because it did this last time I was on screen share. It might just be something with the screen share.
Yeah, it's probably like a issue with your screen loading. You could like refresh.
This happened to me in the last webinar, but it never happens to me when I'm programming. But if you click on the this on your end, it would work. You can see the ability to make it tracked or required. And then when you go into the team library, you'll be able to see Whoops, I'm gonna go this way. The activity report would pull all of those tracked and required sets, which would be like a quicker way to just view what your athletes are doing in one place. Or you can always click into the actual athlete's profile. And let me go back to Susie. You can go on their profile, and when they have a completed workout, it's incomplete, but you can pull it up there and you'll be able to see their data in there if you want to look at it on like an individual level. So I'm going to look at her program. If she inputted weights and time, it would show up here to be reviewed.
Yeah, and then if she like increased her reps per pull-up, for example, it will show in green what was prescribed and what she actually did. And then if she digressed and did like 8 instead of the 10, it will show in red. So you have good visibility on what they actually inputted. Okay, great. And then the last question that we have in here, so if anyone has any others, please submit them so we can get those answered for you. But so this question is there a way to create a program that repeats only one time a month via assigned by calendar?
Let me see.
So you, in theory, could do this. The best way to do it would probably be breaking it up by phase.
Like make each phase.
Yeah, but there isn't like a great way to space it out. So within the calendar, you have to have that many weeks. So you can't break it up and have like 4-week gap without having those 4 weeks in the program. So you would have to just have like 3 or 4 blank weeks in order to space out the workout by that length of time. So you'd have to have like week 1 with 1 workout, and then 3 blank weeks, and then week 5, which would be the beginning of the new month, for example, where you add the 1 workout. So if you want someone to be repeating it at that cadence, I would still probably suggest using a playlist and then just naming the workouts with the date that you want them to be completed, so that you don't have to have unnecessary additions to the program. But it won't show up on their calendar on those dates since it's a playlist.
That's a good point. And you could change the names here. So if it was like the May workout, you could just put May in here. And that's what they would, when they go into the playlist, if it was like May 15. And then this one was going to be June 15th. Like when they go into the playlist, those would be the workout names. So I think that would be pretty clear to them without, like Lauren said, adding a bunch of extra days just as like space holders, because that can get confusing too.
Okay, well, those are all of the questions that have been submitted. So thank you all for submitting them and taking the time. But we can wait for another minute here in case someone is typing up a question, so we can let you get to that. But as we mentioned at the beginning, we are recording this, so we'll send out the recording for you all to reference back. We'll be sending out an email soon as well with our webinar dates for May.
And as always, you can email us at support@bridgeathletic.com or in the live chat or not live chat, but in the chat for any questions that you have that come up, and we'll answer those as well.
Okay, nothing else has come in, so I think we're good. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everyone.